right there at the last, the 11 car just took off and left everybody. And I said, what he do different that he hadn't done before? I said, where'd he come from? You know what I mean?
Look like SVG on a road course.
Yeah.
The way Denny's been running, if he don't win the championship, it's not fair, and I'm not going to go there on that.
Yeah.
But
they ought to do one of them deals where, with say 30 laps to go, nobody gets to make up a lap.
There's no lucky dog. That I hadn't thought about it
you
that
know
way.
What I mean? You look at it that way. Then you got the guys that's run up front all day, continue to run up front. I done something yesterday that I've never done before.
You was a spectator.
I was a spectator. Okay, was up in the third and fourth corner, no TV, no nothing, and I sat there looked over the guardrail, watched them run and stuff, and I kept up with the race pretty good until they started making pit stops, and so I'm just a fan, okay, and so I'm watching and I'm watching them run. And the 19 just ran off and left everybody. So I said, well, he's the trick today. But anyhow, they went ahead and they run. They all stopped and stuff. And if they hadn't had the pylon with the top numbers on it, telling you 1, 2, 3, 8, 10, whoever's running. Yeah. If I hadn't had that, I would have had no idea who was leading the race, where they was running or anything like that. And I told them it'd be, from a spectator standpoint, it's hard to keep up. If they didn't have those numbers, I don't think anybody'd ever know who was running.
Well, we used to do it with a blackboard, not even radio, so even before that. But you should have took my old stopwatches.
Well, I probably should have, because I couldn't tell how much the car slowed down from new tires to used tires to two tires. I couldn't keep up with that. And, to begin with, like I say, it looked like the 19 was going to go wrong. Okay, then after they had their little deal and started another deal, then the 5 car. And the 5 car led, I guess, 100 and some laps. Yeah. He was, and I thought, I said, okay, he's got it all together today. And, even when they had the last caution flag, and all them guys started running, there was, 5 of them, I think, just really took off running really, really hard. And I guess I thought the 5 car would be the car. But the 11 car had run good the whole race, but he got up there when they 4 or 5 of them, and he never could really, or never showed that he could outrun any of them. And they'd finally get away from him. And then right there at the last, the 11 car just took off and left everybody. And I said, what he do different that he hadn't done before? And I know the way he drives and stuff, that he wasn't just, he was going to try to lead the race even when there was 5 or 6 of them racing, but he could never do it. But all of a sudden, I guess the 19 took off, and I said, well, he's got his
But
stuff.
he was on 2 tires.
I know, but he got out in front.
Yeah.
And I thought he had his stuff together. But see, I couldn't tell. You watched on TV, so they had tires and didn't. I didn't know that. Well, I'm a spectator.
Somewhere, you're bragging on the 19 car, but somewhere along the line, he got in the fence and thought he hurt the car a little bit.
I didn't.
See, that's the advantage of television.
Me as a spectator, I don't see all that stuff. It's hard to see it all, And then it was just one of the deals that all of a sudden the 11 car looked like he'd run a sucker quicker than everybody. He just pulled out and went on.
And he done it with so much ease, Richard.
Well, that's what
he passed
that's
on the outside.
What I'm saying. Me watching it, I said, where'd he come from? You know what I mean?
Looked like SVG on a road course.
Yeah. What did he do that the rest of the people didn't do? You mean?
Yeah.
But you talked about the 88 car. He ran good. He ran the top 10 all day long. And then with that last caution, 20 laps to go or something like that, 25. He got mixed up. He got caught because he was running up there with the leaders, and he got caught and somebody hit him.
He was on 2 tires too. And
is that right?
I think the first 6, Richard, was on 2 tires on that restart, and then the 11 and the 5 was the best 2 cars
on 4.
On 4.
Okay.
and maybe the 48.
But see, as a spectator, I can't see that. I don't know that. You know.
But just being a driver or a crew chief, anything like that, if I've got 4 tires and somebody else has got 2, I got to get them quick.
Yeah.
And it was a long caution, and they talked about it. With 2 tires, it had a chance for the left side tires
to cool off a little bit.
To cool off. Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff going on there. And, of course, there was 2 players in the top 12, is that right?
Yeah.
That really got hurt.
Yeah, the 24.
Well, it's top 8, I guess.
Yeah,
the 24 and the 12, they got hurt real bad. Yeah. And Denny, he's locked in,
Yeah.
He's got right now he's got the best chance of winning the championship.
And then the 5 car's right there with him as far as points.
Yeah, he'd have to really mess up at Talladega and Martinsville not to be in the final 4.
Yeah.
And I guess the first 4, Richard, in the point standing will be the ones
probably make the last 4.
Looks like they'll make it, and I don't know. We've talked about it, and it seemed like the way Denny's been running, if he don't win the championship, it's not fair, and I'm not going to go there on that. Yeah. But there was another big deal that come up in a lot of, I don't know whether there's finger pointing or just a discussion on the 24 getting into the 10 car when the 10 car was coming to pit road.
Man, that was a heck of a wreck.
Well,
man.
It was, and he hit
all I seen was smoke and stuff.
Yeah, okay. I don't know about the 10 car. He did not wave his hand going down the backstretch because they made a point to show that. But the 24 had to be coming up on him real fast because he just had made a pit stop. And then the sun could have been a factor. Then they got to blaming the spotter. So
it just happened.
I don't know. And his interview, I felt sorry for him. And
what happened on the last wreck when the 54 got knocked out?
The big one.
Because they was running 3 or 4 abreast.
I don't think.
And they was up in the first and second corner, and the sun had come out, and it was shaded.
Yeah, okay.
So I really couldn't see anything except smoke.
I think we talked about it earlier, but the first 6 had 2 tires.
Okay.
And then the 48 and the 5 and the 11 had 4. And they was bragging on the 48, even though he's been eliminated.
Yeah, but he hadn't been running that good all day, really.
And I know he made a pretty good move. And the 88, somebody might have put him in the wall, but he hit the wall pretty hard and come back across. And then
yeah, but I don't know what started it.
Well, I don't know either, Richard. But he was involved in it pretty big, So
that unit, like I told you before, he ran a good race because he was up in the top 8-10 all day long.
But just looking at the finish, Richard, that even from 8th on back to 15th. There was some lucky drivers in there to finish where they did because a lot of them run laps down and run 25 or 30.
That's one thing that I don't like the way they got the situation because you had the top, say, 18 or 20 in the same lap. Okay? And then when they got to go the runaround on the caution, then they got up there, and the guys that had been running 15th and stuff, they were out running those cars. I don't know whether they had better tires or what the deal was, but what I'm saying is these guys has then got a lap down, and all of a sudden they make their lap up, especially at the end of the race, and all of a sudden they're in the way of some of the good cars trying to get through, really racing for, and a lot of times they wind up beating those people because they know they got to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And but from the beginning of the race to the last of the race, some people run good at the beginning of the race and don't run good at the end of the race, vice versa. And so to me, it kind of messes up. They ought to do one of them deals where with say 30 laps to go, nobody gets to make up a lap.
There's no lucky dog. That I hadn't thought about it
you
that
know
way.
What I mean? You look at it that way. Then you got the guys that's run up front all day, continue to run up front.
But that's a prime example of the 9 car had a tire that rolled off and cost him all his track position.
Is that what happened here?
Yeah, and of course Bubba, he was up in there early.
To begin with, he ran good.
He had a speeding penalty.
And then he never could get going after that.
Well, that's getting back in traffic again, and can't go. But that first caution come out with 10 laps, 8 or 10 laps to go in the stage. I don't know exactly. Yeah. And all the leaders pitted. Now, if I'd have been somewhere about 15th or 20th, and that's about how many cars was on the lead lap or more, I might have stayed out so they, at 11, 12 cars, couldn't have made up their pits.
Yeah.
And I know there'd been a lot of them mad at you. But then when they throwed the green flag, then when the stage come out, you could come in and get 4 tires, even if everybody else didn't stop. And you'd still be about where you was at when you stayed out.
Yeah, you wouldn't be no further
I hope
behind.
I hadn't confused people, but that run through my mind just as quick as.
Well, that's a strategy deal that nobody's looked at, or they have looked at it before.
But the one big wreck they had where I think there's 11 cars involved, Richard, they just didn't make it to the first corner. And you asked me who started. I really don't know. You could probably look at it a bunch of times and not be sure. But it didn't take them long to get spreaded out on all the restarts and everything.
No, they did. The 2 or 3 different times, the top 4 or 5 cars would race for 2 or 3 laps, and then
even less.
Yeah, but I mean when they throw them flags, I mean them guys really run. They really run hard to try to pass the car in front of them or stay in front, and then the race was over. So it really wound up, to me, watching it from the racing standpoint, the only time they raced was like 4 or 5 laps after a caution when everybody was close together. Then everybody got spread out, and you couldn't tell who was a lap ahead or a lap behind, who they was passing from. This is from a spectator standpoint.
Yeah. And here again, if you was running about 20th with a good car and they threw the green flag in 15 or 20 laps, you was a half a lap down and couldn't help it. Then it kind of neutralized.
Yeah.
And but here's another factor, Richard. I don't know what date the first race was run out there earlier in the season, and the 21 car won it. And he didn't qualify good, and he couldn't run good. No disrespect to him.
Yeah, but none of the Fords run good out there, really.
Yeah.
And
Joey Logano's he's just doing stuff that falls his way.
Yeah.
And they're creating it, though. I ain't taking nothing away from them. But getting back to the 4 in the championship when it goes to, Denny's already locked in. But I bet if he had his wish, he wouldn't want the 22 or the 12 to be in the top 4. Because it's right now, and I don't know where it'll be when they go back to Phoenix, but the 12, the Fords are the best cars out there.
Yeah, for some reason.
As the last time they was out there.
Yeah.
Or the last 2 times they've been out there. So it's
going to be interesting right up to the end from that standpoint.
From that standpoint, Denny's in the driver's seat right now, and I think the 5 car is safe too, unless he really has a disaster early.
Yeah, he's got enough points.
Yeah,
he can basically point himself in. I think
if he don't make the Final 4, it's kind of their fault.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
but going to Talladega, you look at this lineup. You
never know what's going to happen there.
There's at least 30 cars, or maybe more, that's got a chance of winning that race, Richard.
Yeah, just according to how everything plays out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And they have no practice and stuff. They just go out and they qualify. So qualifying really don't mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that naturally you want to qualify good, but the way the race runs and the way the draft is and stuff, you can start dead last and still win the race.
Well,
you know what I mean?
For qualifying, you're talking about it. I bet there'll be 5 or 6 Fords in the top 10. And just like at Vegas, they were 6 Toyotas in the top 10 out there. So
yeah.
But
it
probably meant more at Vegas.
It really surprised me that the 5 and the 24 ran as good as they did. They just ran off and left all of the other Chevrolets wasn't even in the game.
Well, the 9 was pretty good till he had that tire to roll off, you know. And they do pretty good strategy with him, and he's a pretty decent driver too, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I ain't gonna get back to judging drivers because I'll get in trouble. But I don't know.
Yeah, you've never been in trouble, so you don't know.
Yeah, I know. You telling me?
Yeah,
I've been in that truck a lot of times with NASCAR.
The big deal will be how it settles down after Talladega. I mean, then they go to Martinsville, and that's your last chance to make the top 4.
Yeah, and you're speaking of that, Richard. That place puts as much stress on the pit crew as any place out there, and is so demanding on the brakes. But the brakes are good now. And
they can make it on brakes now.
Yeah, and of course they're still shifting gears, which might change next year.
But anyhow, I would hope that they give them enough horsepower that they don't have to change gears. That always aggravated me.
Yeah,
just thinking about it.
You would have run with automatic if you could have.
Push button automatic.
Yeah, I get that. But getting back to the point standing, it's going to be interesting. I think they might not be but one spot open going to Martinsville or after Martinsville or going to Martinsville, I want to say. Because I think the 5, we know the 11's locked in. The 5 should be locked in for sure. And maybe one of the other, of course, all 4 of them could be locked in.
That's right. You don't never know.
Yeah, it's according to how the wild thing at Talladega turns out.
Yeah, and then it'll all be over. The season seemed really short to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Anyhow, we'll get ready for next year, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. And we'll just see what happens. And, of course, the first 2 or 3 next year start out pretty wild conditions, too.
Okay.
Daytona and Atlanta. So we'll talk about that then.
Okay. Well, right now he's got the best chance because he's automatically in to the top playoff deals. So and he's had a pretty dang good year. I mean, you win 60 races nowadays. That's a bunch of races. So his team and him, the whole situation is probably coming. This is probably his best chance he's ever had to have a chance at the championship.
Yeah, he shows. I guess the only one you could kind of compare Denny to is Denny Hamlin himself, because when it's time to stand up, he stands up, and there's 2 or 3 that's capable of doing that, but he does it as good or better than anybody.
Right now it's going to be the 11 car because he's the one who knows what's going to be there. But like Dale said a while ago, if you just look at the top 4 in the points right now, they're probably the ones that have got a chance to go for it. But when it comes down to running Phoenix and running a race, if a Ford makes it into the deal, then they'll be hard to beat.
Yeah, and of course we just talked about Martinsville be a crucial thing for the pit crew because the pit road's real long, and if they have to make a green flag stops, I don't know. But talking about pressure on the pit crews and the crew chiefs, wait till we get to Phoenix.
Communications, man. We run for 20 years and they had a blackboard. Now that's communications between, and he didn't have a spotter. Dale was a spotter and standing in the pit, so he couldn't see anything.
With a blackboard and a big piece of chalk.
And that was our community. It was up to the drivers to control themselves, and when you was getting ready to make a pit stop, and somebody was behind you, you always waved them off, and you pulled over and let them go. And I think now everybody depends on the radio too much, and the drivers wait till the spotters tell them what to do.
Well, the spotters are important. I get that, but the 10 car in defense of him or negative against the 24, no matter what. The closing rate was real fast. It had to be, because the 24 just had come out of the pits, and the 10 car, I think it was pretty hard getting on pit road, and he was concentrating hard to make the best time. And then, of course, we might have talked about it before, the sun could have been a factor. No matter what, it took out 2 cars for sure.